Hello and greetings to all of you, dear and beloved companions. Welcome to the Chosen Tale channel. Today, we have come together to take a look at a legendary story, a tale of heroism that transformed into a mythological creature. Can you believe it? From the ancient history of Greece comes this tale, another untold story from ancient Greek history. It can be said to be a legend. So, stay with us to hear and see this beautiful and mythical story. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's go and witness an unparalleled narrative together. Once upon a time, in the legendary city of Delphi in ancient Greece, there lived a king named Letius. Letius ruled a very powerful and peace-loving kingdom. He was considered one of the best and most powerful kings of his time. There was no evil or ugliness in his character. Letius was a wise, benevolent, and extremely powerful ruler, and he managed the affairs of the country with great competence. He was so capable and powerful that his fame reached all the cities of Greece, and even the Roman Empire acknowledged his influence. Letius was so wise and benevolent that even the ancient Greek gods admired him. Once Zeus, the king of the gods, went to him and offered him godhood. However, because Letius was a wise and dignified person, he respectfully declined Zeus's divine offer. Zeus was greatly astonished by his behavior, because it was unheard of for anyone to refuse a divine offer in front of a mortal human. Therefore, Zeus was very pleased with Letius's response. And Zeus said to Letius, "Then I see you truly are a great and noble person, and you shall become a legendary emperor. I praise you and commend you for this decision, knowing that my offer will always stand. If ever your mind changes, let me know, and in the blink of an eye, you will be in the great palace of Olympus." In summary, Letius was a great and powerful emperor, and over the passing years, he became even stronger and better, as the people of all Greece always participated in the grand celebrations he organized for both the hungry and the prosperous. And as a result, after 15 years, he transformed into a legendary empire. In his greatest battle, he conquered the Roman Empire with the minimal losses and became the greatest conqueror of ancient Greece. Finally, 3 years after the conquest of Greece, the gods bestowed upon him a child and revealed to him that this child had a bright and dark future ahead, walking the path of the double-edged sword, one of eternal light and the other of destruction and darkness. Letius, who was not particularly pleased with this revelation from the gods, took his child to a large island named Crete from an early age, so that his child would be far away from any kind of harm or evil. Letius took him to the island of Crete, renowned as the island of the paradise goddesses. In this island, there was no evil whatsoever. It could be said that this island was like a second paradise on earth. However, Letius didn't know what consequences his action would have. Every year he visited his child on this island, ensuring that his child knew he had a family. And I must also mention that Letius' son was a boy named Alexander, with golden hair, a bright face like the sun, and a sparkling shining eyes. Letius had only one wife and one son, Alexander. Alexander's mother, Teuphronia, had passed away after giving birth to him, and Letius had not chosen another wife after her. However, all the beautiful women of Greece and Rome were in love with him, because he was a powerful, wise, and brilliant emperor, as well as very attractive. However, amidst all this, there was a woman who had always been in love and infatuated with Letius from his youth. She was a goddess, a powerful deity. Indeed, she was none other than Athena, the goddess of wisdom and battle. Athena had never tasted the flavor of love until before Letius. She had always been engaged in her duties as a goddess, but when she first saw Letius, she fell in love with his power, brilliance, and wisdom. For the first time, a goddess had fallen in love with a mortal. Eventually, one day, while Letius was busy reading in his palace, Athena appeared before him. Letius, shocked by the sudden appearance of Athena, stood up and addressed her. Athena lifted Letius up and gazed into his eyes. She said, "Truly, you are a legendary emperor," and began to praise him. Letius, still greatly astonished, thanked Athena and asked what service he could render to the goddess of creation. Athena smiled and said to Letius, "You are powerful and wise individual. You are so mighty that all the people of Greece and Rome praised you. Even my father, Zeus, the god of gods, praised you. You currently have no wife. Come and marry me, and come to you Olympus. There you shall also have a kingdom." Letius, shaken by Athena's words, was speechless and couldn't utter a word. He couldn't bring himself to love Athena, because he had a great love for his deceased wife, and even greater love for his people. He never wanted to have any distinction from ordinary humans. Therefore, he apologized to the goddess Athena and thanked her deeply, but declined her request. Athena, deeply saddened by Letius's response, left without saying a word. The goddess of creation and battle was profoundly distressed and upset. For the first time in her existence, she had fallen in love, confessed her love to a mortal, and been rejected. Athena, enraged and furious, thought to herself that Letius should not have rejected the request of a goddess and a deity. Now his life would become hell. Athena unleashed a great punishment upon the great city of Delphi, and all the people of Delphi fell severely ill, suffering heavy losses. Letius was deeply saddened and made every effort to save his people, but one after another they succumbed to the illness. Eventually, all the people of the city of Delphi perished from the effects of the disease, leaving the city empty and desolate. A city once renowned as a symbol of power was now a distracted ruin, with only Letius remaining alone in it. Letius, who had no happiness left in his life, had become a very thin, feeble and weakened. He had lost all vigor and strength. He went to the temple of Athena and began to pray in front of the statue of Athena. Athena appeared before him and said, "I reject your plea because you rejected mine and broke my heart." In that moment, Athena struck Litius in the chest with her sword, and Litius fell lifeless on the spot, meeting his mortal end. Litius, once a legendary and benevolent king, perished in the worst possible manner. But the story does not end here. As Litius' son Alexander was alive, at 17 years old, he had become a powerful and capable young man. He decided to leave the island of Crete and go to the Delphi to see his father. However, he was unaware of the events that had transpired in Delphi. Finally, he boarded a ship and set sail towards Delphi. During this journey, Athena, who had learned of Alexander's arrival in Delphi, sent sea monsters with help of Poseidon to kill him. These monsters included creatures like the Hydra, Charybdis, the Harpies, and the demonic offspring of Hades, the Kraken. This journey and Alexander's battle became known as the Seven Seas Battle. But how could a mere mortal like Alexander overcome all these mythical creatures? Well, with the help of the goddess of beauty and kindness, Io, he was able to defeat all these creatures using the power bestowed upon him. Io, the goddess of kindness and beauty, had been with Alexander since his birth, always instructing him to take care of himself under any circumstances. After a great battle and overcoming the 7 seas, Alexander finally arrived in Delphi. However, he was met with a heartbreaking scene he had never witnessed before. He saw a city completely empty, devoid of any living beings. Delphi had now become a city of the dead. Alexander searched the entire sea and eventually found the lifeless and tortured body of his father, lying next to the temple of Athena. Overwhelmed with grief, Alexander took his father's lifeless body into his arms, tears welling up in his eyes. Io, deeply saddened by Alexander's sorrow, approached him and explained that it was Athena, the goddess of battle, who had brought this great tragedy upon the city and his father. Alexander, consumed by anger, wanted to confront Athena and engage in a battle with her. However, Io advised him that he was not yet capable of facing a deity. She instructed him to first acquire enough power and then challenge her. Io then told Alexander that he needed to journey to the underworld and ask Hephaestus to forge a weapon for him so he could defeat Athena. Hephaestus, the god of blacksmiths, was once like the other gods, living on Mount Olympus. However, due to Athena's jealousy, he was banished from Olympus and condemned to the underworld. Finally, after a long journey and consecutive battles with underworld creatures, Alexander reached the underworld and met Hephaestus. There, after conversing with Hephaestus, Alexander asked him to forge a weapon that could help him defeat Athena. Hephaestus, who harbored resentment towards Athena and had been inspired by a divine revelation, that a mortal would one day seek revenge against her, agreed to the request. He crafted a weapon for Alexander to destroy Athena. The weapon, forged from the flames of wrath, darkness, and blood, was named the Blades of Destruction. Hephaestus warned Alexander that once he wielded the weapon, he would be ensorcelled, unable to part with it. Alexander accepted this condition. After obtaining the blades, he returned to Delphi and went to the grand temple of Athena. There, he summoned Athena multiple times, addressing her as a cowardly and lowly goddess. Finally, Athena descended to the earth with great fury and told Alexander, "Now I will destroy the last survivor of this cursed city." A breathtaking and monumental battle ensued between the two, the greatest battle between a god and a mortal, shaking the earth and stirring the heavens. Despite Athena's immense power, Alexander, fueled by the fire of wrath and vengeance, and wielding the blades of destruction, refused to yield, even as a mere mortal. In the end, with his intelligence and cunning, Alexander prevailed over Athena and plunged the blades of destruction into her heart. Severely wounded, Athena fell to the ground and said to Alexander, "I never wanted it to be this way. I admired your father and loved him, but your father rejected my love. I, too, harbored resentment towards him, and thus everything came to this. Thank you for setting me free." Then she fell upon the earth and perished, her power dispersing into the heavens. Alexander, who was deeply saddened, was not satisfied with seeking revenge and was very distressed and wounded. Io appeared beside him and said to him, "Now you must be strong and rebuild Delphi from scratch. You must become a legendary emperor like your father and restore your people." Alexander rose again and eventually began the reconstruction of the city of Delphi. This task took years to complete, but in the end, he succeeded in rebuilding Delphi anew. He united Rome and Greece, and this time, Delphi became even more powerful than before. This was the legendary story of the great city of Delphi, and the legend of a great king whose legacy endured for centuries. This mythical tale was incredible, depicting a legendary king and a great warrior who engaged in mythical battles across the seven seas and journeyed to the underworld to fulfill his destiny. This story teaches us that no matter how good, powerful, and benevolent you may be, sometimes the fires of envy and sorrow can lead to your downfall, even if you are divine and eternal. Thank you very much to all of you, my companions and dear friends, for listening to this legendary story so far. I hope you have enjoyed it. Please write your opinions in the comments, whether you like it or not. And also, let me know what other stories you would like to hear so that I can create them for you. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I love you all. Farewell until another tale.